welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
So today, we're going to dig into some recent comments from Donald Trump and Sergey Lavrov. It's all about the Russia-Ukraine situation.
Right. We've got Trump's interview with NBC and then some public remarks from Lavrov. Direct quotes, basically.
Exactly. The aim here, for you listening, is really just to cut through some of the noise, you know?
Yeah. Understand their stated positions. What are they actually saying? What might it mean?
Okay, let's kick off with Donald Trump then. He had a very direct statement.
He did.
He said, quote, Russia would have to give up all of Ukraine.
All of it, not just parts.
Yes. And his reasoning, he follows up, because what Russia wants is all of Ukraine. So his whole take seems built on that idea Russia's aiming for total control.
It's a view of Russia's goals as, well, completely maximalist, right?
Yeah.
And that shapes his proposed outcome. Full Russian withdrawal, nothing less.
And he added that familiar line of his,
Oh, yeah.
and if it weren't me, they would keep going. Sort of suggesting his presence or maybe his potential involvement has already limited Russia somehow.
Interesting claim. It positions himself as a key factor in restraining Russia.
Now, it does make you think, doesn't it? Because I seem to recall past comments where he maybe suggested Crimea could or should remain Russian.
That's a really important point, yeah. He has floated that before.
Hmm.
So this all of Ukraine line, it feels like maybe a significant shift, or at least a broadening of his public stance.
Is it a real change in thinking, do you think? Or maybe just like an opening bid in a negotiation? Hardball tactic.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It could be either. Could be a genuine shift. Could be strategic. We also have to factor in those other comments he made.
About walking away from talks.
Exactly. Saying he might just step back from peace negotiations if things don't look like they're improving. He sort of hinted he felt closer to a deal with one party. Very vague.
Very vague. Didn't name names.
No. But then he added this writer about his patience having limits. He said something like he'd be ready to just tell them, okay, move on, be foolish.
Sounds like he's setting himself up as the decisive deal maker, but one with a very clear exit strategy if he doesn't get what he wants quickly.
Precisely. Now let's pivot to Sergey Lavrov. His perspective is, well, quite different.
Yeah, starkly different, actually. He was very clear, too, wasn't he?
Very. He said, quote, the imperative is the recognition, he means by the international community, that Crimea and other areas of Ukraine controlled by Russia will be recognized as Russian.
Right. And this isn't new from Moscow, is it? That's been their line pretty consistently.
Extremely consistent, especially on Crimea, but also on the other territories they currently control. For Russia, getting that international stamp of approval, that recognition for their territorial gains, seems to be the absolute priority.
So that puts him directly at odds with Trump's statement, doesn't it? Trump says give it all up. Lavrov says recognize what we already hold.
Absolutely. That's the fundamental clash right there. It's all about the territory. Trump demands a complete rollback. Lavrov demands acceptance of the current reality, at least as Russia sees it.
What's kind of puzzling, though, is the disconnect. Trump claims Russia wants all of Ukraine, but Lavrov, in these public comments at least, is focusing on cementing control over existing gains. How do you square that circle?
Well, that's where it gets tricky, you know? Are we talking about actual strategic aims versus maybe public negotiating positions? Could there be different views within Russia itself? We don't really know for sure.
Or maybe Trump's assessment of Russia's ultimate goal is just different from what Lavrov is emphasizing right now.
Could be. And Trump's own wavering stance on whether he'd even stay involved in talks adds another layer of uncertainty, doesn't it? If he's saying Russia must give up everything, how likely is Lavrov's demand for recognition ever going to fly?
Seems like a total non-starter from that perspective. An impasse?
Pretty much.
So, okay, for you listening, the really key thing to grasp here is this fundamental disagreement. You've got Trump saying Russia wants it all, so they should give it all back.
And then you have Lavrov saying, no, the world needs to recognize the territory Russia currently holds as Russian.
Two seemingly irreconcilable starting points.
And understanding that clash, that gap between their stated positions is really crucial if you want to make sense of any news about potential peace talks or, you know, the future direction of the conflict.
It really highlights just how far apart the core demands are.
Definitely.
Which I suppose leads us to our final thought for today. Given these positions, which seem, well, fundamentally opposed on the surface.
Yeah, completely contradictory.
What are the actual realistic pathways forward towards any kind of negotiated settlement? Are there any?
And what unseen factors, you know, pressures or shifts behind the scenes might possibly nudge these very firmly stated goals.
Something to definitely keep thinking about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.